Welcome to Reality Fighter TV. In this video tutorial, I want to share with you 8 devastating elbow strikes that you can apply to your own personal fighting style relatively quickly. Now, whether you're training at home, you have an in-home gym, or you're training at a martial arts gym or a dojo, these 8 devastating elbow strikes can be used in a wide variety of situations, both standing upright and on the ground. So let's go ahead and get into it, and make sure that you turn on your subscribe button, click on the notifications icon so you get all the latest videos that I have to share with you. I hope you enjoy it, and let's get to it. So what are some of the advantages of using an elbow strike? One of the primary major advantages of the elbow strike is the fact that it works off the shoulder joint, and the shoulder joint is the most multi-directional joint in the human body. Every elbow strike technique that you can find in here works off the shoulder in here, right? Coming horizontal, coming downward, coming upward, coming back high, coming down here, coming like this, right? Coming down here, all works off the shoulder joint. So it's a very multi-directional strike in itself and offers a wide variety of dexterity and options. The second advantage of delivering an elbow strike is the margin for error factor. Now, what does that mean? The margin for error for this technique means that the chances of me missing with an elbow strike is far less than if I were to throw a fist strike or a finger strike or maybe even a palm strike. Because the nature of the elbow strike works in a very close proximity in here, right, where I literally just bring the elbow a little bit outside my body mass and make contact in here, right? The chances of me missing with this technique are very, very small, all right? Close range definition is defined as anything from reaching out and touching a person without physically having to step and move and locomote my body there first, to basically grappling range or contact range, right, or hugging range in here. So your elbow strikes should be working in that close range proximity. If you have to step and commit, with a large, weight transfer in here with an elbow strike, you're probably picking the wrong technique. You probably should be using a fist, right, or maybe a kick. So second advantage of the elbow strike is the chances of missing. The margin for error are very, very small when I deliver any, one of these variations in here like so. The third advantage of delivering any elbow strike is the amount of power that you can put into it. Because the arm is much closer to the body, and the body you're using the body to deliver this action here, I can deliver a hellacious amount of force in here, right, and create a much major destructive shockwave than I probably can do with a fist, right? And the reason for that is because the body, when you deliver a fist technique in here, the fist technique, a lot of times people, when they throw a technique, their arm is separate from their body. So they end up hitting with an arm punch in here, and it's the weight and the speed of their arm that's going to cause the damage, right? And so a lot of times the arm is separate from the body, and then when I make impact in here, that the arm hits first and the body kind of is destabilized a lot of times. That's not true with an elbow strike, because an elbow strike is a close range technique only in here. 99% of the time I'm usually stable in close range, right, applications, right? If I'm grappling in here like this, or if I'm boxing in here, or if I'm doing, self-defense, confrontation management. So when I'm stabilized in here, right, I can, deliver a hard technique in here, right, and I don't really commit my body too far. I don't commit my arm separate from my body in here like this, right? So I don't deliver an elbow strike and let my arm shoot out here way ahead of the body and then kind of get my body to catch up. But that happens when we throw a punch. A lot of times when we throw a punch, we deliver a technique, the punch coming out here first, and then our body may get involved or it may not. So power is the third advantage of any elbow strike. The last advantage of delivering any elbow strike is the positional advantages that the technique offers. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, the positional advantages means that this technique can be delivered from virtually all around the clock in here, right? And 3, 2, 1. The last advantage of the elbow strike is 3, 2, 1. The last advantage of the elbow strike is the positional advantages that the technique offers. Now, what does that mean? The positional aspect of this is that I can deliver this technique from virtually many different angles in here without having to change my body position first. Okay, so for example, in here I can stand right here in front of this target here and just swing my elbow in this fashion like this. Okay, so I don't have to really move my body a whole lot. right? If I'm standing here facing the audience in here like this, and the target is over here to my flank in here, I can bring the technique in this direction here without having to turn my body first. I can't really do that with a punch very well in here unless I really move my body, and face here. I can be having my back to the target in here without having to turn and face the target here. I can deliver the technique, virtually from this position in here, like so. So the positional aspects of it are a major advantage that help make the elbow strike, really, have a name for itself. So now let's get into the 8 variations of how you can deliver the elbow strike, now that I've shared with you some of the advantages of any elbow strike. The first elbow strike that I'm going to share with you is what's called a forward elbow strike. Now, keep in mind, all elbow strikes should be practiced from both lead and rear sides of the body. Lead side of the body meaning that the closest weapon and closest target, and the rear side of the body, furthest weapon from the target in here. Also, keep in mind that the elbow strikes can be delivered in a horizontal fashion and a vertical fashion in here. So, from delivering across this plane here, right, coming across the body in here, and then delivered vertical like this. And that means also, when I say vertical, that means that can be delivered forward, coming out like this, 12 to 6 in here, and horizontal meaning even if it comes in over a diagonal in here like this, or coming downward like this in here, right? That's still we're going to say it falls into the horizontal category. Striking back here in the arm is relatively horizontal, not completely, but all elbow strikes can be delivered vertically and horizontally. The first elbow strike that I want to cover is probably the most basic in nature, which is why I want to start with it first, and that is what I call a horizontal forward elbow strike. Okay, so forward meaning that the technique itself is going to be delivered forward to the target like this, right? Off either side of the body in here. I've already explained it. All right. So standing in or fighting platform in here like so, taking it off the lead side of the body, the elbow strike that I practice, or share most of the time as a basic way to deliver this technique when you have a target in front of you is to bring the elbow slightly outside the body like this. Almost like if you were to throw a cross punch in here or start a hook punch in here. Bring the elbow outside like so in here, and with a very stable base, you are simply going to rotate the technique, right, to the target in here without having to step very much. Okay, so it would look kind of boom like this. And I'm just going to, create rotation in my trunk in here and lean in as much as I feel like I need to lean to kind of help get my body there. The other hand in here should be up in a defensive position, and your head should tuck or turtle as you deliver the technique, and allowing your forearm to kind of come into your front of your face like this. The reason why I like to do it like this is because I'm assuming in close range, we're in close proximity. If this is not effective, worst case scenario in here, boom, I can protect my face, and we're probably going to be clinching or grappling from here. Okay? So if you're not already in a grappling position, hitting him with an elbow in here, you're probably in a combat position, or you're dealing it with, confrontation management if this is a street application in here, and obviously if it's sport combat purposes like MMA or something in here, right, you're probably, in a combat position here. But in very close proximity in here, that from this position I would bring the elbow up along this plane in here and create rotation in my trunk in here like this, bring my head down simultaneously, boom, and deliver the technique like that, right, off the front side of the body, wham. Okay, so I'm not trying to loop it out here, right? This is not, this is not a Muay Thai elbow where I'm coming out like this. That's a different type of technique. I'm trying to create the most basic and economized version of an elbow strike in here. So if someone's right in my face in here like this, my hand, I'm not quite ready in here, right? Boom! I can bring the elbow right in position like this, really quickly in here. Okay, off the rear side of the body, that would look the exact same way. Right? So from guard stance in here, I'd bring the elbow forward, bring it up and create a semicircular motion. My head down simultaneously, wham, right? And trying to bring this part of the forearm here right on center line, bang, like this. Right? I'm not trying to hit with the point of my elbow, right? I'm not trying to create a circle motion. Okay, that's a different elbow strike in here. I'm creating a kind of a semicircular forward motion in here. So not too forward, right? I'm not trying to chicken wing it. Just trying to bring the elbow out, bang, like this. I need to kind of create this torque in here, right? This centrifugal force in here, bang, like this. And I can't do that if I got my elbow pinned in close to my body. I'm just trying to raise my deltoid. Okay, so from here, boom. Okay, from here, wham, like this. Okay, so that's the first one, a forward horizontal elbow strike. The second elbow strike is a forward vertical elbow strike. Now what that means is that the arm is going to be running, up from, this is a clock, 12 and 6 in here. Okay, so from this position in here, again off the lead side of the body, I would take this from here and I would literally retract the shoulder blades back a little bit, and I would drive this forward, right to the target, and let my elbow hit wherever it's going to hit, whether I hit here or anywhere along the forearm like this, right? Keeping a 90-degree angle in here. So this is not an upward position in here like this, right? It's not coming down here. I'm not letting the elbow wing out in here. I'm delivering it straight forward in here, right? Boom, like this. And my head really tucks down, and as a form of protection in here, right? In case I have to collide and smash my head in as a secondary attack, I'm bringing my head down, boom, as I deliver this technique. So I'm getting the power generated through a little bit of rotation in here, once again in my trunk, right? And I'm kind of using my shoulder, right, my blade in here to retract back a little bit and create a little bit of an impact, or a power from right from here. Boom, with very, very minimal amount of stepping in here like this. Okay, so again from here, off the lead side of my body, my head will tuck down as I bring this, out towards you here like this, bang, in here like this. And I'm going to look, on either side of my arm in here, like so, keeping my head in a strong position. The rear side will be the same thing, right? I bring it forward, boom, in here, like so. So from this angle in here, like this, wham, right here, creating rotation, like this, just like if you were to throw, a straight left in here, like here, wham, like this. So I want to make sure, again, I don't bring the elbow out. I'm not trying to come upward. I'm not trying to bring, I don't want to try to bring the arms outside and lose my center line in here like this, right? So straight forward in here, like so. That's the second elbow strike, a forward vertical elbow. The third elbow strike is what I call a circular elbow strike, a circular horizontal elbow strike. So this one again is going to be where the arm is leaning parallel to the floor in here, and somewhat similar, right, to the first one, to the forward one, but much more circular in fact, in nature in here like this. So you think about this would be your hook, your hook punching, in here. Okay. So this one again, you have to, get this thing up, at least, up, at your collarbone area like this. You can't start the technique from coming down here. You just simply won't have any power. Just in your deltoids, you'll just be using a lot of trap muscles in here. So I have to bring this thing, out in this position here. So this technique would be delivered, if somebody, if the target was off my center line like this. Okay, so something where I was positioned over here or positioned here, right? So if, let's say my hand is here like this, I could bring it around and through center line like this. Very similar, right, to a hooking technique in here. So from here, the lead version would I bring the arm out. Again, all the same principles. I drop my head, my chin down. I stay tight in here, right? Bang, and I come around like this, right? Pivoting this leg around to help get the power from the lower body. Boom, in here like that. Okay, here. All right. So the rear side of the body would look more like this, right? Coming around in here, right? Okay. So you want to make sure that when you deliver the technique that you hit nice and square as possible, and you're not trying to bring the shoulder out of its socket. Right? Okay, so very common here with all elbow strikes is trying to generate all the power, trying to get it through my shoulder and letting my shoulder kind of separate from my body. You're really asking for some rotator cuff tears. So it looked from boom here, whole body, wham, like this. So the circular horizontal elbow strike is the third strike. The fourth elbow strike is what I call a upward elbow strike in here, delivered in a vertical fashion. Okay, so this one's being delivered from 6 o'clock, making its way up to 12 o'clock in here. Okay, so we're going back to where the arm is straight up and down like this. Now that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be delivered perfectly like this. It can be just delivered slightly angled in here, but the bottom line is it's usually going to be pretty straight in here like this. Okay, probably not going in this direction here, but at least completely from 12 to 6, right? Maybe to 1 and 7 in here on the clock. Okay, so the way that looks in here, right, would be I would be taking this and creating a little bit of a drop in my body probably to kind of help use my hips to generate the power. And I'd be coming upward in here, bang, like this, right here, whomp, right? Hand kind of going backwards towards my ear, boom, like that. Again, the head down in here. Now this technique, this version of it doesn't have the articulation as much as like the other ones because, well, depending upon your range of motion here, if you have tight shoulders and a tight neck, you may not be able to get your elbow, arm all the way back in here like this, right? Like this one I can do pretty good. This one, kind of a little stiffer in here, right? But the point is that I can literally kind of come under the chin, bang, and come upward like so. So it looks, kind of starts the same concept as the vertical forward in here, but comes upward, right? Boom, here like so, like that. Okay, so at the camera in here, right? Whomp, right? A little bit of rotation again, boom, coming upward in here, protecting my head as well, coming up from that angle like that. So that is the upward vertical elbow strike. The fifth elbow strike is what I call a downward diagonal elbow strike. Now this strike is very common in Muay Thai kickboxing and a primary elbow strike in that style of fighting in here. So again, delivering it on a horizontal fashion in here, right, give or take. I kind of use a clock system, okay? Boom, it may not be completely like this, right? It may be here or it may be up here depending upon, usually what I have to, go over a person's arms or something's in the way impeding my ability to get there. But again, working off the articulation of the shoulder in here, I am literally bringing this elbow out. Again, I'm outside my body mass and I'm aiming the fingers downward. So I'm kind of pointing the index fingers downward like this in here. Again, depending upon your flexibility and your deltoids in here, right? I'm bringing this up and then coming down and I'm sliding through across center line like this, right? Whomp in here, right? Using my other hand to protect my face in here like this and kind of tucking my chin down, okay? Boom, like that, right? So when I'm not trying to do too much is get my arm way out here, telegraphing intentions. This elbow strike by itself is more telegraphic than the last four I taught you because it has to, your arm is coming further up and out, the elbow's coming out, exposing itself more in here, right? So a little more telegraphic in here, but that's that version of it, right? Boom, in here, like this, right? Boom, here. So if you don't need to deliver this technique, don't use it because it takes more time in here, just right? Use the first one I was telling you about in here, right? So the difference kind of in the first couple in here, the first two are speed oriented in here like this. This takes a little more time in here. It needs to be done more, used more tactically for a reason. So that is the fifth elbow strike, a downward diagonal elbow strike. The sixth elbow strike is what I call a downward vertical elbow strike. Now this elbow strike is something that is going to be used when you are changing levels. Now, so what that means is that usually when you deliver this technique in here, a person may be lower than you in here, maybe trying to grapple you or tackle you or something in here, and I may come from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock delivering it down in this fashion here like this. So there is a major difference in body weight transfer coming downward in here like this. This strike doesn't really have any advantages of staying in the upward plane in here and just trying to deliver it, on somebody's head or somebody's shoulder trap area in here like this. There's very little power in here, very little articulation or distance for your rotator cuff, to come down here like this. So when using this technique in here, most of the time you're going to be, a person is down in this mid-gate area, kind of in the waistline, diaphragm area in here like this, and there's a lot of space for you to come downward, right, in this motion here like this. So the way that I execute this technique is I raise it up, to where I think I need it in here, and I drop my body weight down, coming in this, boom, in this position in here like this, wham, in here like here. Right? You can also rotate a little bit. I like to plane my body off a little bit to help me get a little more downward weight transfer in here, coming in here like this. But the bottom line is it's coming up, shooting slightly upward, not losing this this skeletal muscular structure too much in here, right? And coming downward, right? Wham, in this fashion in here like this, right? Boom, coming here. Okay. So from this angle in here, right? Raising up, right? Dropping down, right? Coming downward in here like that. Okay, so that one has a lot more commitment as far as changing levels in here, and usually is going to be more situationally based when a person is attempting to come down lower, and I may only have a minimum amount of target to hit in here like this, right? They could be on their back. If this was a ground fighting situation, I may come downward, if they're laying flat on their back and I was able to, posture up from like a mount or something, or a side control position and come downward in here. So this is the 6th elbow strike, a downward vertical elbow strike. The 7th elbow strike is what I call a backwards high elbow strike in here. All right, in other words, what's happening is I'm delivering it backwards now, so the target is somewhere, off to the flank. It could be off to the side in here like this, right? So if I'm facing the camera in here, 12 would, camera would be at 12. This is at, 7 or 8, or maybe if I'm standing over here, right? Camera's at 12, I'm delivering it, at 4 or 5. So the bottom line is that this technique is I'm hitting with the back of my tricep in here. Yeah, I might even hit him with the, my deltoid a little bit, or catch him with the elbow. I'm not trying to actually hit him with the point of my elbow and create a loopy fashion like this where I might miss. I'm trying to hit with as much of my back of my arm as I possibly can in here, okay? So where this comes into place again is the positional advantage. I don't have to turn and face the target like I did with the other strikes in here. I could literally stand from right here, and someone could be grabbing me around the waist in here, or maybe they got me kind of in somewhat of a headlock and I have one arm free, and I could deliver it from back here like so, right? So it could be completely horizontal. It could kind of come out diagonal in here like this, but it's basically horizontal, bang, coming high up in here, right? Like so, like this, with a twist again, going backwards in here, using my obliques and using my back muscles in here, delivering it from here like this, right? And the same thing, kind of delivering it from back here, right? Coming from here, bang, in here like so, right? I need to be very close to the person in here. I can't be too far away and then trying to lean in here like this. I don't even have to see the person. I can just do it by feel. I could be looking down or be blindfolded in here and by feel, bang, in here like so from there. So the 7th one is a backwards high elbow strike, going backwards in this position. The 8th and final elbow strike is what I call a backwards low elbow strike, coming straight back in this direction. Okay, so similar to this in here, but I'm not necessarily flaring the elbow out, but this one is coming back, into the person's stomach area like this. It could be their head if they're, again, down on their knees trying to grab me in here, but I'm coming backwards, coming in this position in here. So again, one of the advantages of this one, along with the last one, is I don't have to turn, and face my adversary in here. I can literally be grabbed, as long as my arms are free, and I can just drive it straight back, coming in this position in here like this, right? I can either step with it backwards, as long as I'm within proximity and I'm not trying to lean and reach for it, or I may not have time for that. I can grab in here like this, right? Deliver the technique right from here, right? And coming, from this position. Okay, so backwards from here, right? And I can get more power by extending my arm forward in here if I have time, but just right from here, coming in this direction. I'm just trying to hit anywhere I can from my elbow all the way back to my rear delt tricep area, right? In this position in here like that. Okay, so now that I've kind of addressed the 8 variations of those elbow strikes in here, I want to go ahead and kind of talk a little further here about some of the advantages that you can use them in a wide variety of positions, as well as upright and on the ground. Thanks for watching, and if you found that information informative, again, please subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the notification icon in the corner of your computer screen or on your phone. Don't forget to share it with your friends, and make sure you look in the description below in this video and check out all my instructional detailed tutorials for all types of martial art applications. Until then, take care and stay safe.